Imagine feeling, well, truly lost. Not like, where did I park the car? Lost, but lost in yourself. Like every single decision you make or every achievement, it needs someone else's okay, some external stamp of approval just to feel real.
Yeah.
Or maybe you feel like you're just living on autopilot.
Yeah.
Playing a role day in, day out, just trying to keep the peace. And all the while, you feel like your real self is trapped under all these layers of what society expects, endless comparisons, and just that constant buzz of worrying what other people think. It's exhausting.
It absolutely is, that feeling like you're adrift without an anchor, not really knowing who you are deep down. It's incredibly common. And that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive, it's really all about unlocking that feeling, getting back to being genuinely, unequivocally you.
Yes.
We're going to explore what it really means to build a strong sense of self, to actually know who you are, beyond the labels people stick on you, and definitely beyond that constant nagging need for external validation.
And we'll look at how cultivating that inner self, that core, can just radically transform your well-being, your relationships, really, your whole life.
We've looked at quite a range of material for this. Psychological studies on identity, some philosophical takes on the true self, and even just real experiences people share.
Exactly. We're drawing from a real mix.
Yeah.
So get ready to maybe peel back some layers and find that core.
Okay, so let's start there. What is it that holds us back? What are these invisible chains you mentioned?
The invisible chains, yeah. It's a good way to put it. Look, we live in a society that loves shortcuts, right? Loves labels.
Definitely.
We categorize people constantly, race, gender, sexual orientation, job title, married, single, rich, poor. All these identity labels. It's a quick way to try and sort people, put them in boxes.
And I get that sometimes those labels can help, maybe give a sense of community or understanding, but they really oversimplify things, don't they?
They absolutely do. And crucially, they confine us. Your actual identity, the thing that makes you you, it's so much more complex, more multifaceted than just, a mere handful of verbs, as one source put it really well.
I like that phrase, a handful of verbs.
Yeah. Because these labels, they create expectations, often unspoken ones. Think about traditional gender roles, telling people how they should act.
Right.
Or stereotypes that just reduce people to these flat caricatures instead of unique individuals with their own stories, their own struggles, their own joys. Calling someone an accountant tells you their job, sure, but nothing about their secret love for poetry or their sense of humor or maybe their anxiety.
So true. But maybe the deeper issue here, the trap that so many of us fall into, is this constant need for external validation. Can you unpack that a bit? Why is it such a powerful pull for us?
It's fascinating, actually. Often the roots go deep. It might stem from a real sense of shame or just a fundamental lack of knowing who you are. Sometimes it starts in childhood. Well, maybe you had experiences where your feelings weren't validated, or perhaps even in situations involving abuse, where you learned that giving up your own autonomy, your own sense of self, was the way to avoid feeling wrong or, to gain some kind of acceptance.
Ah, okay. So it becomes a coping mechanism almost. You start looking outside yourself for that feeling of being good enough or like you belong.
Exactly. Even if it means deep down you kind of despise parts of yourself or you're always putting other people's needs first.
And that leads to that autopilot feeling we talked about, just going through the motions to keep things smooth. Someone online described it as always performing for an audience that might not even be watching.
That's a great description. It is like performing. And this constant dance, this seeking approval, it often points to a conflict inside us between what some call the egoic self and the true self.
Okay, egoic self versus true self. Tell me more.
So the egoic self, think of it like a constructed identity. It's built up from our life experiences, what society tells us we should be. It's like an actor on a stage. Always performing, terrified of bad reviews, craving applause. It thrives on comparisons, judgments, needing that external validation, and that often traps us in these cycles of negative feelings, dissatisfaction.
So if the egoic self is always performing, always needing that external applause, what's the alternative? Is there like a deeper self that doesn't need all that?
Well, the surprising thing about the true self isn't that it's some perfect finished product. It's more like the quiet observer underneath all that mental noise.
The observer.
Yeah, that eternal part of you that actually already knows your worth. It's untouched by praise or criticism from outside. It just emanates a sense of peace, of contentment. Getting in touch with that, that's not just freeing. It's like this radical act of trusting yourself, moving away from the ego's illusions towards the truth of who you inherently are.
Wow, okay. That sounds like real freedom.
Yeah.
So if that's the problem and that's the potential, what does a strong sense of self actually look like? When we talk about a healthy self-identity, are we just saying be positive?
Yeah.
Because that can feel a bit hollow sometimes.
That's a great point. No, it's not about toxic positivity or pretending challenges don't exist. A healthy self-identity is more about having a realistic, grounded view of yourself. It's how you understand yourself, how you define yourself, the identity you give yourself, not one imposed on you.
Okay.
And it's this complex mix, right? Your personality traits, your body, your interests, your beliefs, your life experiences, your values. It all weaves together.
And what are the key pieces of that healthy identity? You mentioned self-awareness.
Right. Self-awareness is huge. Understanding your strengths, but also your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Having healthy boundaries, knowing where you end and others begin. Genuine self-confidence, not arrogance. A growth mindset, believing you can develop. Emotional resilience.
That ability to bounce back.
Exactly, to bounce back from setbacks. And crucially, what's sometimes called high interdependence.
High interdependence. What's that?
It means you're connected to others, you value relationships, but your sense of self-worth doesn't depend on their approval. You don't need their validation to feel whole. You're solid within yourself.
Ah, okay. That makes sense.
And this is just profoundly linked to mental health. A healthy sense of identity boosts your confidence, your outlook on life, your overall well-being. It's really foundational.
And the flip side is true too, right? Poor sense of identity may be caused by trauma or insecure attachment growing up or social pressure, bad relationships that can lead straight to low self-worth, anxiety, insecurity.
Absolutely. It highlights just how critical building this foundation is for our sort of mental architecture.
Yeah.
And this naturally brings us to the power of personal values, your core values.
Right. Values. We hear that word a lot.
We do. And they're basically these abstract ideals that you hold dear. They're your guiding principles, supporting the vision you have for your life, for the kind of person you want to be. They're essential for personal growth because they help you stay true to yourself, even when things get tough.
So they're not just nice ideas, they actually act as an internal compass. How do they shape our day-to-day stuff, like decisions, career, how we talk to people?
They influence pretty much everything. Your values act like a filter. You use them, consciously or unconsciously, to make big life decisions. Choose who you hang out with, navigate your career. They're the principles you see as important to live by, things like courage or authenticity or maybe connection or well-being.
Okay.
And it's maybe helpful to distinguish them from beliefs. Beliefs are things you hold to be true about the world, like a specific religious view, for example. Now, sometimes a belief can be a core value for someone, but a value like, say, dependability or gratitude isn't necessarily a belief in the same way. It's more like a principle guiding how you act.
Got it. Okay, so we've kind of painted the picture of the problem, the labels, the validation trap, and the ideal, this authentic self grounded in values. The big question is, how do we actually do this? How do we start that journey inward? I hear self-reflection is key.
It absolutely is. It's kind of the master key, really.
Yeah.
Self-reflection is just the deliberate practice of paying attention to your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions, your actions.
Like stepping back and looking.
Exactly. It's an introspective look to understand the why. Why did I react like that? Why did I make that choice? It helps uncover your real motivations and spot patterns that might be keeping you stuck.
Okay. And are there practical ways to do this? Like journaling.
Journaling is a fantastic tool. It's not just about writing down what happened. It creates this private space, like a sanctuary, where you can explore thoughts and feelings without worrying about that imagined audience, without performing.
So it weakens the ego's grip.
Precisely. It lets your true self speak without needing that external, okay, you can just do free writing, let it all pour out, or use prompts. Simple things like, what did I learn today? Or what am I grateful for? Or even, what parts of my life surprised me most lately?
That sounds really accessible. What else?
Mindfulness meditation is another really powerful one. It trains you to be aware of the present moment, just observing thoughts and feelings without judging them.
Just noticing them float by.
Kind of, yeah. And interestingly, research suggests this practice can actually reduce activity in the part of the brain linked to self-referential thoughts, that egocentric chatter. It literally helps quiet the internal noise.
Quieting the noise. I like that. It feels like there's so much noise these days.
There is. And sometimes the simplest things help too. Just seeking out solitude, quiet time, disconnecting from screens, from the constant external input. It just creates space for deeper reflection, lets your inner voice be heard.
Making space, that seems crucial.
And also, consciously asking yourself reflective questions. Guide your own introspection. Ask things like, what could I have done differently there? Or, do my current goals reflect what I truly want or what someone else expects of me? That intentional questioning really digs deep.
And what about feedback from others? Is that helpful, or does it feed the validation monster?
That's a really important distinction. Once you've started building that inner core, feedback can be helpful. But, and this is key, it should come from trusted people, friends, mentors. And the goal isn't to seek validation. It's about identifying blind spots, gaining perspective to enhance your self-awareness, not replace it.
Right, it's data, not judgment.
Exactly. And building on that awareness, the next step is really living your values through your habits. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
When your actions actually align with what you say you value, that's when you start living a truly authentic, fulfilling life. It's about closing the gap between who you aspire to be and how you show up every day.
So creating good habits based on those values.
Yes. If you value creativity, maybe you commit to doing something creative once a week, even if it's small. If you value positivity, maybe you start your day with affirmations, intentionally focusing your mind. This is often what people mean by inner work, these ongoing internal practices that really change you from the inside out.
Inner work, I like that term.
And a huge part of this journey is self-compassion. Seriously vital.
Being kind to yourself.
Yes. Realizing you're doing your best, learning as you go, instead of constantly beating yourself up with criticism. Positive affirmations can fit in here too, as a way to challenge those negative, self-critical thoughts and build up a healthier self-view. It reduces anxiety, stress, that endless rumination. It's basically treating yourself like you treat a good friend going through the same thing.
That's a powerful reframe. Treat yourself like a friend.
It really is. And when it comes to setting goals, using something like the SMART framework-specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound can be really useful.
How does that help with avoiding external validation?
Because it helps you focus your motivation inward. You set goals that are genuinely relevant to your values and your growth, not goals designed to impress someone else or meet some external benchmark. It's about internal progress, not external applause.
Makes sense. Setting goals for yourself, by yourself.
And one more strategy, which might seem a bit counterintuitive, engaging in selfless acts.
How does being selfless help build the self?
Because it shifts your focus away from your own ego, your own desires and needs. When you engage in acts of kindness, altruism, volunteering, you connect with something bigger than yourself. It fosters this deep, intrinsic sense of unity and purpose that actually bypasses the need for external validation altogether. It's a powerful way to connect with your true essence beyond the ego.
That's fascinating. Shifting focus outward to strengthen the inner core.
It really works. But finally, we have to acknowledge this isn't always easy. Building a healthy sense of self can be a long and sometimes difficult process.
For sure.
So if you feel overwhelmed or really stuck in negative patterns or beliefs, reaching out for support is so important. Talking to a mental health professional like a counselor or a coach can provide invaluable guidance. They can help you dig into core beliefs, offer techniques, maybe from cognitive behavioral therapy.
And seeking that help isn't weakness.
Right. Absolutely not. It's an act of courage. It shows strength and a real commitment to your own well-being and growth. It's about trusting yourself enough to ask for help.
Yeah. Okay, so as we kind of bring this together, let's talk about embracing the complexity of it all and really living authentically.
Yes, it's so crucial to remember that identity isn't fixed. It's not this static thing. It's complex, it's got many layers, and it's wonderfully fluid. It changes and evolves as we have new experiences, as we grow.
So we have the power to define ourselves.
Absolutely. We have agency to define ourselves beyond the boxes society tries to put us in. And there's no single right way to be you, to express your identity.
And that connects to the idea of intersectionality, doesn't it? How different parts of our identity, like race, gender, profession, passions, all combine in unique ways.
Exactly. You might be, say, a queer person of color who's also a parent and an engineer. No single label captures that richness. Trying to squeeze yourself into just one box limits your potential and ignores the reality of your lived experience.
And we see amazing examples of people who've really refused those boxes, who've transcended labels to embrace their authentic selves.
Oh, definitely. Think of someone like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, the Nigerian author and feminist. She uses her platform constantly to talk about intersectionality and challenge those narrow definitions. Or Temple Grandin.
The autism advocate.
Yes. who revolutionized animal welfare systems, all while facing discrimination and being told what she supposedly couldn't do because of her autism.
Incredible resilience. And you see it in artists, too, like Janelle Monáe challenging gender norms, or Pharrell Williams calling himself just a creative instead of picking one title.
Exactly. They show such courage in just being true to themselves. And even someone like Brené Brown, whose work on vulnerability has encouraged millions to explore their genuine selves, showing that real strength lies in being authentic, flaws and all.
It feels like there's been a shift recently, too, maybe accelerated by the pandemic. More people questioning those external markers.
I think so. The pandemic definitely forced a lot of people to pause and reevaluate what really matters. Who am I without my usual routines, my job title worn like armor?
Right.
Many people started prioritizing personal authenticity, their core values, their passions, over those traditional external signs of success or identity. That period of introspection, I think, fostered more empathy too, a greater sense of connection.
It was like a global timeout, forcing us to look inward and ask, okay, stripped of the usual stuff, who am I really?
Precisely.
Yeah.
A potentially profound shift towards understanding that what truly matters, it really comes from within.
A powerful understanding indeed.
Yeah.
Wow, what an incredible exploration we've had today.
It really has been.
We've dug into how those external labels and that constant need for validation can really obscure your true self. But then we journeyed into what a healthy, authentic identity actually looks like and feels like.
And we unpack some really practical tools, self-reflection, clarifying your values, mindfulness, things that really pave the way for building that genuine inner strength.
And the ultimate takeaway really seems to be this liberation that comes from realizing your worth isn't based on what others think. It's based on your own internal compass.
Absolutely. Living authentically, truly aligned with your values, that's the deepest form of self-acceptance and fulfillment you can find. It's about building that rock-solid trust in yourself unconditionally.
So a final thought for everyone listening. What's maybe one small, authentic choice you could make today? Something that pushes back against an external expectation or lines up with a value you've maybe kept hidden. What's just one step you can take right now to start reclaiming your own story?
A great question to ponder. We hope this deep dive has given you some clarity, maybe some inspiration for your own journey.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We look forward to our next exploration together.